Hey everybody, Mike Henson here with a very special update today. Sadly, we've lost an epic and irreplaceable man today, Coach Alan Trimble from Jenks High School, a man that I'm proud to say that I knew, a man who was deeply connected to God in a way that I don't believe very many of us will ever truly understand. This man was a builder of young men. He was as humble as a person of his caliber could possibly be. This is a man who, in terms of football achievements, had almost no equal that I'm aware of. 13 state high school football championships. His record was 242 to 53, I believe. But as we know, as many of you know who are fighting ALS like I am and like Coach did, ALS is undefeated. Yes, there are people who claim to have had an ALS reversal, but they're very few and far between if they are indeed accurate. I think that a man like Coach truly serves as the reason why we must do better. We must fight harder. We must learn from our mistakes in this battle and push forward with all speed, with maximum effort to change the way that ALS works forever. We have had incredible success lately with patient-led advocacy. And let me make a quick point here. While this video is not about our achievements in any way, shape, or form, this video is about this man, as you'll see here in a few moments. But Coach knew full well what NurOwn was, and I'm just sorry that we didn't get it done in time for you, Coach, but we're going to keep up the fight, and we're going to continue to do it. We have to. There are no other choices. Patient-led advocacy is starting to produce results in this horrible game. For far too long, we've let others who did not have a vested interest in ALS fight this fight for us. And as we're finding out, as your parents told you, and undoubtedly you've heard the old saying, if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. And that's exactly what we will do. We will continue this fight at maximum speed and maximum effort to prevent the death of as many people with ALS as we can. Every person matters from this day forward. And that's what our group, No More Excuses, has maintained, that every life is worth saving. Nobody should be written off, and we will write off nobody in this fight. Everybody's life has the exact same value, whether or not you are diagnosed with ALS yet or not. And Coach put up a good fight. He was diagnosed in 2016. Some of the videos you're going to see here, one is a tribute video that I did not make, but Coach appeared with Annie and I very early on in our interviewing. I guess when we started to interview people, however you want to say that, Coach drove over to the house here. It was a huge effort for him. He was completely immobilized at the time, mostly, not 90%, but his words were clear. His intention is very well, it's very obvious as to exactly what this man wanted to do, and that is to make an impact on people's lives, and to try to fight ALS. And sadly, he was just too weakened to be able to do that. But he fought hard. He contacted our senators and our congressmen here. But it was obvious that Coach, one of the things about Coach is he put himself last. Everybody came before him in his mind. With his Trimble Strong Foundation, this is a man who put others first. And Mark Bedwell and I were lucky and fortunate enough to go see Coach at the very last Trimble Strong Foundation Gala, where he had the boys from Duck Dynasty there. And, that was a great night. And I think I've got a few pictures I'll put up here of that as well. And, it's just a tragic day for Oklahoma. This man he's a giant among giants. And I have no doubt that he is in a better place. He's in heaven. And because if heaven won't let this man in, then you just don't get in. I've never met a more humble, generous, and caring person. Just this man is revered in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma and Texas football is king. And this man was as humble as he could possibly be. There was not an ounce of ego or arrogance in this man. So we're going to take a quick look back now at Coach Alan Trimble. Thanks for watching.
Can you imagine a coach getting to work with the kids that go down the roll list of the guys who have come through this high school and I got to coach. It's crazy. You couldn't script it. You couldn't even make it up. There's nothing better than relating to kids in a locker room, especially, in today's culture and climate. Man, they've got to have a voice of reason in their ear. I think the sport of football and coaching is still the best classroom. Ultimately, I have to slow down a little bit. And in my heart, I feel like that me slowing down and putting someone else in this position will elevate our football program to a higher level. And there's a level of me that's very excited to see what happens next.
Hard for me to walk, hard for me to talk. I'm a very emotional man. It works.
Wow.
Now you see that video, and what I like about that is the fact that these FDA people are just stunned. They're stupefied, like what just happened. Coach, I'm going to come to you real quick. What do you think about that gentleman who was running around the building there? What do you think?
Well, it's very exciting to realize that we have a medication that is helping people. I love the fact that gentleman showed the emotion and passion that those of us that are ill with this dreaded disease have in our hearts. So I really appreciate him. But for me, it's a ridiculous opportunity. If that medicine is out there, we should be able to get it.
That's a great point, Coach. And I tell you what, why don't you make a statement to people right now about what you think ought to happen? What could we do to help you right now?
Well, I've had the disease almost 3 years now, and pretty decimated physically. But I would just encourage those people who have control of these exciting 3 medicines to expedite it. We have the greatest scientists, the smartest people.
It's crazy.
Tremendous doctors. Let's let them go. Let's, especially with those of us who are terminal, let's let them go and empower them to do what they do. And this medicine, if it could buy me another year or two until we get it finished off and have it mastered with these medicines, that would be a wonderful gift to all of us with ALS.
That's right. And Coach, if you had one thing to say to, President Trump, or let's say, some of our wonderful Oklahoma senators, Senator Ron Johnson, who is a sponsor of the bill, I think if there were anybody who this bill were designed for, it would be you. At this point in your disease progression, you're certainly what I wouldn't call a fast progressor. You've had, you've been dealing with this for what, 3 years now. So, you've had time now to think about this, and fortunately you've been blessed with a little slower progression than some people get. You had a more of a limb onset, but think about this, Coach. This NurOwn has been around for since 2010-12 area, and it hasn't received a dime in funding. It's been all privately funded, and I'm just wondering if asking President Trump to step in and intervene in this might be the right way to do it with the FDA. Would you like to make one appeal there to them and explain why it would mean so much to you and your friends with ALS to have the right to try this drug again? Well, certainly I appreciate the dedication and commitment that President Trump has for our country. Obviously Senator Inhofe, Representative Hearn, there are some great guys here in Oklahoma that I know are working for us out there at the White House. But I just certainly would just ask you guys to give the FDA a gentle nudge or a swift kick, whatever it takes, to make this medicine available for us folks with ALS. It's a tough disease, and this medicine can be given to us without hurting the trial, without hurting the company. Then certainly those of us, not speaking for everyone, but this gentleman right here, Coach Trimble, will be glad to go take the medicine and hopefully be a part of the cure. So when was this picture taken? Like, what was that? How long ago was that? That was right after I was diagnosed. That was probably about August or September of 16. Yeah, and you had a misdiagnosis, didn't you? I've been an athlete my whole life and worked in the oil field, so I had some weird symptoms in my left hand. So I went the orthopedic surgery route, had carpal tunnel surgery, ulnar nerve transplant, the typical things. So I probably walked around with ALS for a couple of years before we finally got it figured out. It's and you guys know, such a tedious process. The just eliminating everything that is not. So just the diagnosis of ALS is very stressful and takes a while. But yeah, I probably had it about 4.5 years. One last thing from you, and then we'll let you get back to the house. Well, certainly thank you, Mike and Annie, for this opportunity. I would just say to fellow teammates of mine with this disease, let's be a part of the solution. Let's pick up our phone, email our legislators, people that have the power and the influence to get this moving forward. We're not going to change it sitting on the couch. We got to make some noise. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. So again, keep the faith. It's a great and worthy fight, and certainly people like Mike and Annie, I greatly appreciate your help. Thank you, Coach.
A Broken Arrow man is working to get the attention of President Trump, the FDA, and a company behind a drug that may slow the progression of ALS. A legendary Jenks football coach, Alan Trimble, is joining his fight. It's my Fox 23 investigation. And just 1 year ago, the Broken Arrow man was diagnosed with ALS.
The first sign I really had was just lack of the ability to climb stairs.
It took 3 years for legendary Jenks high school football coach Alan Trimble to be diagnosed with ALS. The Aussies also found it slowed the progression of the disease in people.
So the drug ended up working, and it slowed the progression in some cases by as much as 70%, which was extremely encouraging. It would be very simple to manufacture, very cost efficient, and we're not asking for it for free. We're asking for the right to be able to purchase it.
Henson sent the petition with more than 50,000 signatures and an impassioned letter to the company earlier this month. I also reached out to the company. The chief operating officer responded to both of us, saying in part, quote, "Our preliminary results are not yet definitive, and we are not in a regulatory or practical position to be able to offer CUATSM under right to try. All we can do is to continue dedicating ourselves to moving this drug forward through the clinical trial." Both men feel when President Trump signed the right to try legislation in May of...
One of the things we hear all the time is, well, this drug could be dangerous, right? As opposed to what? ALS?
It can't be any bigger risk than having a terminal disease. ALS, has a better record than I do. It's undefeated, and that's the bottom line. So there's no risk. We would just be elated to have the opportunity to have a chance to beat this thing.
And just today, I received these emails from the Oregon and Australia researchers behind this drug. Both say it shows great promise, but should not be rushed. They don't want it to go through with right to try. But Coach Trimble and Mike Henson say that's the trouble with ALS research. It takes too long compared to how quickly this disease is taking lives.
Clearly, they're not giving up. You're not stopping here either.
No, we want to make sure this issue and the research gets all the way up to the White House. We will let you know what happens.